I wanted to start by saying that I acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which I am. It's the Bunurong people of the Kulin Nation. I acknowledge and pay respect to their um, elders, past and present, and want to say thank you for their continued support towards the land, the waterways, and the animals. I'm just going to play Uncle Robert Paul Young's video in the background while I speak. So I approach this assessment with an open mind and shut down any preconceived biases that I may have. As a Native American, I can resonate with some of the things which the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people have experienced with their lands being resettled, but there are some things that no one can truly understand. I want to hear the story as an empathetic listener and branch into the category of generative listening, as described by Alicia Waddington as Mbuja in her article titled Moving from Storytelling to Story Listening. These two ways of listening, I feel, would allow me best to get an understanding of the story of the message that the storyteller is trying to convey. And listening should be open and sensitive to the need to listen and to be listened to, and the need to listen with all of our senses, not just our ears. That's Edwards et al., 2011, page 234 to 236. So this is the message which I want to take with me when engaging and listening to the story of Uncle Robert Paul Young. As I listen to the words of Uncle Robert says in his clip, I can hear the strain in his voice. He's a tired, older man. He's fought many battles and is now sharing his story, not for the fame, not for the notoriety, but for hope, education and hope. Hope for a future where the mistakes of the past are studied freely, never to be repeated. Education is key to change, and stories like Uncle Robert's play an important role in fostering a brighter future. I can see in his expression that it's not easy to relive his story, and yet he pushes through. I can see how broken he is, something which can never truly be fixed. His memories won't allow it, and why should they? He lived the horror. He's now sharing the horror so that no one else should ever have to live it again. My current understanding of Aboriginal perspective is quite low. I am not an Aboriginal person and I do not understand what they have been through. I do not make it a secret that I genuinely do not understand. And I don't understand the generational trauma that they experienced or the way they feel connected to the land which was stolen from them. After listening to Uncle Robert, I think I can begin to better understand the complexities of history of the Aboriginal experience. I have listened to Uncle Robert's storytelling so many times in this video, and I can feel the pain through his words, although I'm not naive, and I know that I will never truly know. I'm most impacted by the earnest way which Uncle Robert tells his story. He doesn't add flair or pizzazz, he just sticks to the facts as hard as they are. He tells his story in a true way. Nothing more, nothing less. He speaks to me, and I feel like he's speaking to just me, like directly. Especially when he says, they were very nice people, treated me like a human being. I can only imagine what it must be like to be treated as anything other than human, to be a number 24, like Uncle Robert, for all those years. That the basic act of being treated as a human is seen as kindness. It is a basic right, and the right had been taken away from him for so many years. Later in the video, he also says, wow, I got a name, not a number, when speaking about his first meeting with his mother after 13 years. And I wonder how long he would still have been shocked to be identified by name after so many years in the home being called by a number. I can't help but try to imagine the feeling of stolen identity. Not only was it stolen from his family, but his identity and his culture were stolen from him. Suddenly, I can see a whole new meaning to the term stolen generation. I think these moments impact me from a place of privilege I will never truly understand, and even though I have my own cultural past with its own demons, I've been brought up in a Western world where I speak the language fluently, and I was never made to leave my family behind, was never told that my culture was wrong, my language was wrong, or that my existence was wrong. As a teacher engaging in story listening, it will be an important aspect of the work that I do. As far as I can tell, it's the best way to connect with the children, their families, the community. Story listening is as much about the listener as it is about the teller. We can form better relationships with families and interpret what we learn in our teaching practices. Not only will this allow us to grow as educators and grow our pedagogical practice. But it will deepen the children's sense of belonging in the space. It can open doors for meaningful inclusion that brings together multiple ways of thinking and doing. Inclusivity, which considers the needs of all the children, not just the children with additional considerations. Empathetic story listening will help me to understand the children and their families in a deeper way, which will then allow me to grow as a teacher and develop better ways to interact with children so that they will be more receptive to learning. Generative listening will help to cast aside any preconception and biases which I may have and engage with children and families in open and receptive ways. Engaging in whole body listening is another tool which will be beneficial to teaching practices as it allows a stronger understanding of the messages being communicated. Outside of the words being spoken, like generative listening, whole body listening challenges us to shift all our thinking. According to Mark Lovett in his TEDx talk titled The Magic of Storytelling Lies in Story Listening, 2018, true learning only happens when students listen in class. He was, of course, referring to students at Oxford University long before the printing press was invented and only teachers had textbooks. But the reality is still the same. Without listening, you cannot be expected to learn. This is perhaps why emphasis on group time has been made in early childhood classrooms. However, I believe that story listening can be taught in an informal and simpler way by interacting with the children in meaningful ways, engaging with the children in their comfort areas, whether that be during quiet time or digging in the sandpit. Children are capable learners, and if we treat them with equity and high expectations, we can develop a deeper understanding of them, and they too can get that same connection with us. Once this is established, learning will follow. In putting together this video, I, of course, dug deep into the Yellowmandy Storytelling 2 Stolen Generation Kinchela Boys Home, the story of Uncle Robert Paul Young, which was put together by the City of Parramatta for YouTube. I looked at the book The 100 Languages of Children, the Reggio Emilia Experience and Transformation, pages 234 to 236. That was Edward Zattel. The Magic of Storytelling Lies in Listening. That's Mark Lovett's TEDx talk from 2018, also on YouTube. I had a look at the in-class content from Victoria University and VU Collaborate Week 2, Session 3. And then, of course, moving from storytelling to story listening, that was the article by Alicia Waddington Azambuja in 2022. And that's it. So thank you.